Yo,
What's up?
welcome to the first ever Bobby Choo Podcast.
Yeah,
I think it's a working title.
it's a working
at the
title.
moment.
It's,
yeah,
it's,
it's a
it's,
working title.
it's not great, but it's not bad. But I think that's how most things start off. It's not great, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the aim of this podcast is just share about from the audio's perspective on like life, on what's
Yeah,
an
yeah, yeah.
audio person's job of
Audio-
life and stuff. So to introduce, we got Johnston here.
What's up, guys?
So Johnston works for Collective.
Yeah.
You do work for Collective, right?
Yeah, I do work for Collective.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you tell us what job? What's your role?
Okay. Well, basically, here at Collective, I head the audio team here. So mainly, I guess my responsibilities are focused on making sure the services are running sound wise, leading the team, training them. That's what my responsibilities entail. But as with most things like that, you have to deal with people. So people stuff, some people got some relationship problems too. I'm fine. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the more professional
Yeah.
responsibilities, it's really just heading the audio team, making sure they're trained, making sure everything works, and
Yep.
also just seeing how to constantly improve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. So I also head up the audio site for HTBB Church, a church in Lot 10. We're part of the Alpha Hub. Yeah. So basically the same as what John
Yeah.
Johnson do. Really. We make sure that things work.
Yeah.
We make sure that sound team happens. Make sure when there's sound, you can hear us.
Yeah. When there's no sound, then that's all completely our fault. But when there is sound, it's like everybody else does well.
Yeah, I know. It's
know?
it's just how it is.
Yeah.
So this is basically the idea of the podcast, just to share a bit on the audio perspective about about what is it like being an audio person working in the church, and just what's it like being audio in general, like working with audio and doing stuff. So yeah, like we always like, I think it's really important with the world that we live in right now. Technology is so key and so fast, especially, and audio world technology is also incredibly
I
fast,
think
right?
it's moving at an alarming rate.
Yeah, it's
Like global warming, if you believe in global warming. Oh, this one I gonna cancel. Yeah, but yeah, it's actually moving super duper quick though.
Yeah, so
Like-
I think what we thought as well is like, we, at least for me, I don't know about you, but
Yeah.
I can't really find any podcast that has a place where I can listen to just to know about what's up, what's the new thing that's coming through in
Right.
the audio world, in terms of like console, live, and studio as well. So I just thought maybe this would be a good place to talk about it. And
Yep.
also more just like for me or for us, it's like when audio persons come together, we just talk about gear stuff.
Actually, you always ask things like how's your family, how things after that. We actually just want to talk about gear.
Yeah, basically
Like
just
we
gear.
actually, the whole point of meeting up, we just want to geek out and just talk about gear and like plugins and like what software you're using and what program. That's all we just want to talk about.
I know, right? It's just
Yeah.
we can go on for ages.
No, we have
But yeah,
hobbies.
like, hey Johnson, so like, what's the new thing that you've been reading or using or found out about?
You know, it's actually quite interesting. Yesterday, I saw a diagram. Funny because at HTBB, you
Yep.
guys use the latest
Cool.
from Yamaha, which is the DM7.
Yes.
Here Collective,
we
we're actually
do.
using a CL5,
Yep.
which is it's a standard Yamaha console.
Yep.
And then I saw a diagram yesterday
Okay.
of all the years when all those items came out, and I actually realized the CL5
Okay.
actually came out like 2012.
Whoa.
It's like that's
Like
like more than a decade ago,
Yeah.
But it's a testament
Yep.
to I think how durable
Yep.
Yamaha consoles are.
Yep.
So Yamaha, you know what to do. But yeah, it really is a testament to how durable is it, and it's really
Yeah.
nice to see like even from. I mean, you guys just recently changed up your
Yep.
DM7. I think it's
Yep.
so nice to see how the technology has progressed so far
Yeah.
and made it so easy for like users. But yeah, just going into what's new.
Yeah.
If you talk about plugins,
Mm.
I actually discovered this thing called it's by this. I don't exactly know. Can't remember what's the name of the company per se,
Okay.
but I know it because of this mastering engineer called Streaky.
Like
Streaky mastering, like STREAKY mastering.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's an amazing mastering engineer. So there's this plugin he's been like talking about, and I think he actually. I don't know whether he's actually collaborating on it
Okay.
or it's a plugin he actually owns. It's actually a thing called Tide Rs. Yeah, TIGHT, Tide. TIGT, yeah, whatever lah.
TIGHT, right?
Yeah, tight R's.
Like
And
spell R's?
yeah, R's as in like ARSE.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And what it actually does is actually you can actually tighten up a lot of like the low end. So you just apply it to like your your master bus.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
And actually like you can actually like tighten up your low end. You can actually kind of select like how much tightness, how little tightness you want, and there's like a few different things that I've been trying over a few mixes I've been doing, and I already have to say it's pretty amazing. It's like a tune-up thing, and I think what's a really nice thing about like I think good plugins don't make you work super hard for it. Like I don't know, you know this plugin called the sausage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The sausage. Yeah, we all know the sausage. Like it's like you feel like sometimes very guilty for using it.
Yeah.
Because you turn up one knob and it makes everything sounds good.
Yeah.
Whether through like saturation or whatever. But like I think good plugins, you just have to turn it up a little bit and get like a really, really good sound. Because I mean like in the end of the day, people are just hearing the music. They don't know what plugins they use. They don't know whether they use like 10 compressors or one compressor. So I think that for me has been quite it's not a new plugin, but I don't think a lot of people like know about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I certainly didn't know that there's a plugin called Tight R's.
Yeah, so
which
this
is cool.
Yeah, excuse the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, because funny enough, somebody was because you need iLog iLog what do you call it? iLog not verification, but you need the iLog license side of it. Then somebody was actually opening up my iLog manager and said, "What the heck is Tight R's?" yeah. So
nice.
Then I had to explain what is Tight R's. So yes.
Cool. Nice. I think for me, like I think what Johnson has said previously, what you've said also, so at HTV we just recently just did a whole revamp of our system. So we changed from the QL5 into the DM7.
Wow.
And then we also just recently just bought a DM3 as well.
Oh yeah.
To the cafe. So yeah, I think that has been a big news for us, like knowing because the QL5 to DM7 is actually quite a big jump.
It is a very big jump.
Yeah.
It is a big jump.
It's actually quite a big jump. And I think what's super cool is all the good things about Yamaha desk, like DCAs, knowing how to route things very easily, knowing your channels 1 to however many. The Dante has been really good. And yeah, when we got this desk, it was just a lot better. And I think one of the features I really like is this thing called sequential patching. So for some context, like in the QL5, so we have to patch. When you patch Dante, you have to patch like channel 1 to Dante 1, channel 2 to Dante 2, and so on and so forth. And about HTB, we run like, I don't know, like 40 to 60 channels, depending on what coverage it is. And so with this feature, you can sequential patch. You select Dante 1 and you press the sequential patch button. And you can say, okay, I want Dante 1, I want a sequential patch 45 channels sequentially. Right. Okay. And you just click one button and all of it is patched. Yeah, man. It's like it's such a
lifesaver, especially when you need to run like multiple channels at one time.
Yes.
And like I guess like if digital channel count does go quite high, very fast.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you have enough channels, you gotta use those channels. You know.
I know, right?
I mean, you could get away with lesser channels, but if you have the channels, you know. You gotta make the money's worth, you know, to put it. But I think that's actually quite cool. I'm not very sure whether like the CLs or QLs can do that. Maybe there is some hidden feature.
I think the QL can't. Yeah. I don't know about the CL.
If the QL can't, then maybe the CL can't. I don't know. Maybe Yamaha. Maybe you need to maybe you need to attend some Yamaha training. Probably need to attend some. But I think that's a really cool, even just checking out some of the stuff you're showing me on the DM7. I think it's a really really amazing desk, and I think the features for me, I think the amount of mix buses you get from it in such a small format,
I think for context, the DM7 has 24 faders only. Right. But you can, I think the channel input count is like 144 inputs and 48 mix buses.
48 mix buses.
Yeah, and going out. So
and that's not the 48 mix buses is not including
stereo.
The outs.
Stereo outs.
Then the matrixes also.
Matrixes, you have 12 matrixes.
Wow, 12 matrixes and 48.
That
is too much. But then I guess like I know because you guys also are running front of house and monitors on the same desk. So I think that really helps us. I think you told me you guys have recently pushed to do full stereo in-ears.
Yeah. So yeah, for yeah, for the longest time, HTBB, everybody runs mono. We gotta keep everybody humble.
Only a few people get stereo.
Yeah,
Let's
well,
not mention who. Not mention who.
yeah, but yeah, so majority of it, we have mainly mono, but we recently, because of our new sound desk, we can move everybody to stereo.
Which is actually a pretty big.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big game changer. I
Yes.
don't think a lot of people understand.
No.
Because you play.
Yep.
You've toured.
Yep.
You've done all this. You've worked with so many different musicians, and
Yep.
I think what a lot of people don't get is the value of a stereo in your mix.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with mono.
No.
But if you've heard stereo,
It's a game changer.
it's a game changer.
It's a life changer.
And I think,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in the school of thought because I also play.
Yeah.
So I'm in the school of thought where like, I feel that if you can hear better
Yeah.
and like you have a much more pleasant mix where you're not really struggling.
Yep.
For me, I tend to play better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also I realize is that you get to mix a lot softer. Like you don't need to crank your volume. And actually that protects your ears. And like the thing that we need to always protect, even sound guys, musician, whatever, is ears, because if you ruin your ears, there's no like you can't go and
I don't think you can actually buy insurance for ears.
No, you can't.
You can't buy insurance for ears.
Yeah, so it's important to protect your ears. So and I think another thing that I've been quite interested in actually the Apple Store in Malaysia. So like
the one that opened in TRX.
Yes, the one that I think we only have one Apple Store that opened in TRX, and the only Apple Store in Malaysia. But I think what I found it interesting is that so I'm a Apple Music subscriber. I don't use Spotify.
Wow. Bougie.
Actually, it's actually cheaper. Because with Apple, you have this thing called Apple One, and which entails like you get 200 gigs of cloud storage, you get Apple TV Plus, you get
I did not
Apple
know that.
Arcade, and then you get Apple Music all in one for 45 ringgit.
Okay.
Which is actually for a bulk thing is actually not bad.
Right. Yeah.
Obviously, you whether you use it is another story, but actually the whole thing is very good. So actually, and also the good thing about Apple Music, you get if you use AirPods or AirPods Max or AirPods Pro, AirPods Max, you get to take charge of the spatial audio, which is quite cool.
Okay.
And actually, lossless audio. So actually, for Spotify, there is a compression placed on it. Whereas for Apple Music, the audio file is a bit more bigger, and obviously it does be more quality.
Right.
But so I thought what was quite interesting for Apple Store to open is that I'm quite interested to check out the Apple HomePod and the HomePod Mini, and plus just to see what Apple does with like
what is a HomePod and a HomePod Mini?
And actually they actually just released the Beats Pill.
Okay.
Like the Beats the Bluetooth speaker. Actually I've read reviews about it, and actually people say it's pretty good.
Really?
So apparently Beats is quite known for like just marketing and heavy bass, but apparently this is pretty good. I haven't heard it.
Yeah.
But HomePod and HomePod Mini is like their version of a home speaker.
Okay.
So you can place it in your home and you can pair it up. If you have many HomePods, you can pair it up to create like a spatial experience, or you have HomePod Mini, you can place it around wherever. And I think it's just nice, like just to know that like Apple is currently in Malaysia. It's quite interesting to see what they're going to do in the music scene here, because I think when Apple does something, especially in wherever they go, there's always like a translation of it. So I think that's pretty interesting news. For us.
Apple stuff is I don't know whether I think we both are heavy Apple users. I tried opening Windows recently, and I don't know how to navigate it. But that's my own fault.
Yeah, me neither.
That's my own fault.
Yeah.
But I really do like the ecosystem
Yes.
you get with Apple.
Yes.
And I guess for us in music or creative, there's a certain they cater towards our crowd quite well.
Yeah.
Whereas it's probably intentional, probably intentional to make us. But I mean,
probably
the thing. I think a lot of people like a lot of people who don't really like Apple products per se.
Yeah.
They kind of forget that I actually really enjoy. Like I enjoy using my iPhone. I enjoy using like my MacBook. I enjoy using it. So it's like I guess if there was, a lot of people have this debate of like but so and so technology can do it better. But like I enjoy using it. And it's a lot of times I always remember when I just started getting into like audio production.
Okay.
Then I shifted over from a Windows to Apple.
Yep.
MacBook.
Yep.
I remember that in my Windows, I had to like have like a CD. I have to like have all these drivers. So like when I was about to port over,
Yep.
I remember this like having this collection of like drivers, CDs. I was ready to do like a whole day of just like installation and making sure everything was going to work.
Whole day.
I was really ready to like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna just make sure that my interface, my current interface, and my MacBook is gonna work.
Yep.
And I remember just plugging in my interface straight into the laptop, and I was ready to do all the installation. And I realized, oh, it just read and it's working. Like 5 minutes.
Versus 24 hours.
Yeah, the thing is that I was really ready
Yeah.
to like make, I was clear up my whole day, and I think that's just, that's my experience with Apple.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's just, a lot of things just works
Yes.
very well. Of course, you can say all kinds of technology also, but I mean, at least I'm pretty sure that's also the same for you. That's how.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I think, ever since I've ever done music, like recording or like music production or whatever, I only ever known really how to work on Apple.
Yeah.
Because I went to a school where it was like we needed to carry a laptop, a MacBook, and that's we did a lot of learning from there. We do our assignments, we do our research, we do all the stuff. And so when we had like a music production module, all we ever learned like was GarageBand, and then moving over to Logic, and then obviously doing Ableton, that. So I was like knew how like Apple has just been
Apple's just
Apple's just been there,
I didn't know how to make music on Apple computers.
Yeah, it's so much easier, and like I think just like, but I do think now though, like I wouldn't say Apple is at the cutting edge of technology anymore, but I would say Apple is just easy to use.
Yes.
Like I would argue that Windows and Microsoft and whatever are more powerful and more more technological advanced. You can customize more things, and things like that. But I feel like Apple just does things simple.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just want things to be simple. You don't want to be like, I just want to overcomplicate things, man.
And I mean, I guess if like already like you see like tons of cables, microphones, things like that, it's like it just the difficulty level just stacks and stacks and stacks.
Yes.
And I think like just having a simple machine that kind of works everything for you.
Yeah.
And I mean, even like with Logic Pro.
I know,
I think you were the one who told me recently about Logic Pro 11.
Yes, yeah. So Logic Pro, the really cool thing was the stem splitter. And they also have this AI. Apple is obviously integrating more AI stuff into their products. So I think one of that was they have like a AI mastering feature.
Okay.
It's actually quite cool. Make things a lot louder, but actually gets there quite fast in the sense of like you just load it up. But it's only native to Apple Silicon plugins.
Okay.
So all those computers with Apple Silicon, then you can make use of the four different presets or settings for mastering. But if you just use normal Intel, you can just use one channel going through, and I think it's called the clean channel, whatever that means.
Right.
But yeah, and then stem splitter as well is really useful. Like you can basically split any song into 4 categories of stems. You have your drum track, your bass track, your other track, and your vocal track, which I thought was cool because when I was coming up, when I wanted to cover song or do my audition or whatever, I always had to find like drumless tracks and like you had to search high and low in the internet.
Or like some dodgy YouTube link. They'll
like,
bring you somewhere, make you ask, you wanna allow this, and
I know,
your computers.
yeah, and now it's just you can do it all within like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So Apple is great.
I think that's this whole stem splitter thing. I think is a really crazy thing.
Yeah.
I've heard some other companies do that as well.
Yeah.
But for something to be integrated in a bigger, much more widely used software, and hearing the way those stems are splitting is quite amazing. Like
pretty clean, man. It's pretty clean.
How?
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, to be honest, like both of us mix, and when you export something, there's like layers on layers and layers of stuff. Some stuff is not even like super duper audible. But like I don't know how does that we need somebody to explain to us the technology behind it. Is it like something in Logic where some guy just reproducing the track?
some guy just okay, faster.
Just faster, just like okay, let's reproduce the track, but or they just still, or maybe there's like a cloud feature that's still the exact stem from the original thing. But I don't know how it works.
I don't know.
But I just think it's just amazing. It's really,
cool.
really amazing.
Yes.
To see how far it's gone. I think this whole Logic Pro 11 is quite
pretty insane. But apparently, I've not tried it. But apparently now they just released Apple Logic and Final Cut Pro on iPad.
Oh yeah.
So initially they used to do like a trial run,
Yeah.
but then now they just like updated it again. I don't own an iPad, so I don't know. But
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe might
Maybe.
be cool. Might be cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. Do you own an iPad?
I don't.
Yeah, I guess.
My wife owns an iPad, so I use her
Yeah,
iPad.
same. Yeah, my fiance/wife owns an iPad
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why we don't own iPads?
I don't know. Yeah,
Is it?
good
Is it?
question.
Yeah. What's up, What's up? Apple be listening. We would like some iPads.
Mate, I would love to get a free iPad, man.
Yeah,
That'd be
actually,
amazing.
I would love a free iPad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so that's kind of news. But
Okay.
main reason for the topic of this podcast is we will like the main topic I want to talk about is conference season. So
Yep.
it is conference season in the church world of things right here in Malaysia.
Yep.
HTBB just finished the conference called ARG, which stands for Alpha Regional Gathering. It's a yearly conference where we gather.
It's a gathering that is regional
Yes,
for Alpha.
for Alpha. I know. I sort of think that just went with the most.
Yeah, but you know ARG
simple
sounds
name ever.
ARG sounds pretty
Yeah.
dope lah.
Yeah. So it's basically just like regions across delegates across the region come to Malaysia to kind of just like meet other delegates as well, and also just to receive like tools,
Resources.
receive resources, and just
Yep,
be a place
yep.
of worship and just recharge them to
Yeah,
go
yeah,
back
yeah.
to their own home country and
t-
apply those
tell
things
us
as well. Yeah.
how many people was attending this, man?
Yeah, I think the final figure, not including staff and volunteers, was I think about like 900 plus.
Wow, 900, 900 plus. I
Yeah.
remember. I mean, I was
Pretty
there.
insane.
I was there with you on the first day.
Yep,
On the later half of it, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, it's just so packed.
it was
It's so packed with
insane,
people
man.
from everywhere, and like
Yeah.
every door, people try to like squeeze in and get in, and
Couldn't
like.
squeeze anymore.
But it was pretty amazing. I heard
Yeah.
the overflow
Yeah.
was like packed out with
Yeah.
people also as well.
Yeah, the overflow was packed out as well.
Yeah.
So we had the cafe as our overflow,
Yeah.
and the cafe can only fit like 100 plus people, and it was like ramped.
Don't
So,
this cafe
yeah.
has a DM3, guys. Don't be fooled. It's not your regular cafe, you know. This cafe has a Yamaha DM3 inside.
but the only thing is because we haven't really done the full routing of the DM3
Doesn't matter.
3 or whatever it's called. So we're actually taking audio from an HDMI.
It's okay, you know, no shame in taking audio from HDMI.
Yeah, so we
no shame in doing that, you
haven't.
know.
Yeah, we're about to do
the
routing.
thing is that you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
If it works, it works.
Well, I think it's coming to a point where it doesn't work anymore.
Okay,
so we
yes,
do
yes.
need to relook at the
yes.
DM3 routing, but we just route everything via HDMI
Alright,
for
okay.
the overflow. Because it's a very last minute thing as well.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, but so and obviously Collective, Johnson, you guys are also starting a conference soon, right?
Yes.
Like, would you tell us a bit more?
So you guys just finished a conference
Yes.
last week?
Yes.
Um,
Well, the past week.
The past week?
Yeah.
Oh no, it was earlier this week.
Yeah, I think we just finished like
A few days
Wednesday.
ago.
Yeah,
Or
a few days
Wednesday.
ago actually. Yeah.
So at Collective, we are going to be doing a conference. It's actually a creative conference.
Nice.
Mainly focused on when we say creativity, it's not just like for like creatives. Like when you think of creatives,
Yeah.
we just think of like designers or like musicians or like artists.
Sure.
But this is like creative thinking.
Mm.
It's for people who are in business, people who are in education, people who are in politics, and some of the speakers we have gotten people who are experts at this in this field from different types of industries. I think one of the ones that I'm looking forward to is the owner of
Oh.
this restaurant called Dewakan.
Oh wow.
So his name's Darren, and
Darren I feel like
I'm not sure.
Darren Chin?
Not Darren Chin.
No.
The Darren Chin is DC, I think DC
DC
restaurant. But this is Darren, maybe Teo. I would say Teo.
Okay.
This is not a food channel, okay? This is music channel. You ask us all the 4 members of the Beatles, we can understand.
Yeah.
I'm saying, but this is but then anyway, so he's coming to speak,
Oh nice.
and I think I guess I know both of us love food also as well.
yeah.
So I mean, it'll be really interesting to hear him speak,
Nice.
and I think there are a lot of like things like from different people from different industries.
Yep.
You can also learn. So yeah, anyways, this conference is really more geared towards hearing creative minds
Yep.
rather than a creative
Yep,
conference.
quote, unquote, yeah.
So that's happening next week, which is from the 5th to 7th of July.
Nice.
So I don't know
Yeah.
whether people hearing this will be like, oh, never invite, bro. But like probably when you hear this, it'll probably it probably already happened.
Finish, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I just thought it'd be very interesting to, because obviously we all know that conference is very exciting and there's a lot of different speakers, there's a lot of buzz around it, and
Yep.
you know, for us, I don't know about collective, but for HDB, we always try to do extra worship sets, and we try to go bigger and always almost like the flagship experience. And we in church we have a term that we used to call Sunday morning setting, and then we have conference setting.
Okay.
Which basically just means that during conference you can afford to turn it up a lot more,
Okay.
and you can have more things and more stuff.
Yeah.
But I think what a lot of people don't actually see that at least from the audio standpoint and also production at some point, actually a lot of work that goes into a conference, because with more things means there's more stuff to get ready.
Yes.
So I just thought how is it like as now you are prepping for a conference? How is your prep like? What are the things that you need to do? What are the challenges? Would you share?
How about no? Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's the end of it. I ain't sharing. But I think for like conference season, you're right.
Yep.
Is there's this? I think when you suddenly slap on the word conference, it's suddenly like the stakes are a bit higher.
Yeah.
Things are just gonna get a little bit bigger.
Yep.
And I think it's not like we're trying to break away from what we do on like a regular Sunday, but it's really kind of like, okay, you know what? Maybe all the things that we're doing right, it's just kind of just like condensing it a little bit, because you have guests from a lot of different kind of countries, you have people coming in for very specific, and then so for this conference also it's a ticketed event also as well.
Okay.
So there's a certain standard to present.
Yep.
So in terms of preparation wise, what I'm basically doing right now, I'm just doing a lot of checking on like a lot of how things are patched up. Just making sure everything that works,
Yep.
and everything else that we need to add on, how does that integrate into the system? So for example, there are definitely going to be more wireless microphones
100%.
in this whole system.
Yep.
And kind of how do I integrate that?
Yep.
Because I think the thing that sometimes a lot of people forget when doing a conference is after the conference you still go back to do those Sunday services.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You still go back to do Sunday. So you can't because if it's just like a specific event, you kind of like route it however you want. You kind of plug this in, plug that out. You can it's like free reign to go as like crazy as you want to. But then coming back after that, your system still needs to be for that Sunday service.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
So I think that's the one thing is really kind of looking how to integrate all these other elements, because there's definitely gonna be more like wireless elements inside of it. There can be more speakers. There's gonna be a bit more equipment that's gonna be integrated into this particular conference.
For sure.
So just kind of how to balance that up without changing the current system too much. I think that's what I'm really prepping more towards.
I agree as well. When we were prepping for ARG, that was a lot of back end. I think we hired 4 extra microphones, and then we had about I think at one point I was doing a frequency rescanning. I think we had about 12 wireless microphones and about 8 wireless packs to go around.
Right.
I think maybe for the professional world or maybe bigger churches around KL, that might not be. That might be, that's a bit small. Yeah. It's 12? 12 only? 8 only? But I think for us at HTBB, it's a lot and also our unique challenge to HTBB is because we're in the center of KL.
Yes.
So when you rescan, there's a lot of activity going around city center. We have Pavilion, you have TRX, you have KLCC, and it's almost there's always jam, man. Always jam. So a lot of people coming to visit. A lot of people just hanging around KL. And so with radio frequencies, the thing that is the sort of the challenge is that everybody uses phones, and phones do carry a certain RF. So we're just rescanning, prepping. So a lot of that.
I think what you're right is, might not really seem like, so for this particular one, we're bringing for example 6 more wireless microphones in.
Right.
A couple more wireless in-ear packs, and it might not seem like a lot, but I guess like I said, going into the preparation for that and kind of coming down from that back into like a service and making sure that everything works, because you can't just like
Yeah.
unpatch out everything and just like you can't just
Yeah,
do
yeah,
that
yeah.
because firstly that is self-sabotage. You're just gonna have a bad time for yourself
Yeah.
after that, and then
Yeah.
also just coordinating all these different things, and
Yeah.
it might not seem like a lot,
Yeah.
but just to make sure everything works fine,
Yep.
it in itself it's already like,
Yeah.
no, the thing with
True.
the thing with audio is like when everything works and when everything's fine, it's like we don't get no glory, which is
Yeah.
okay,
This is fine.
We're not
Which is
bitter,
okay,
we're not
we're okay,
bitter.
we're okay, we're
But
okay.
like when something goes wrong, it's okay, sound,
Yeah, it's
like
always our fault,
it's
yeah.
super duper, it's like super duper quick.
Yeah.
Like the guitarist didn't plug in his guitar into the amp,
And
like
it's
it sounds
sound guy's
fault, you know what I
fault.
mean? I'm just saying, I'm not hurting on guitarists. I play guitar, okay. I'm one of y'all. But it's just like one of those things where just
Yeah.
prep. I think
Yeah.
going through this whole thing, what I'm hearing you say a lot is it's a lot of preparation.
A lot of preparation.
involved.
Yeah, a lot of the back end actually, like
And it's probably also
drafting.
taken you much longer time because
Yes.
you guys also change over to a new system.
Yes.
So it's like your prep time actually is months and months and
Yeah.
months before that. It's not just
Yeah.
this week, right?
Yeah, almost. Yeah, it was more like first of all, like integrating the system in
Yes,
like a new thing, and then trying out how it sounds in the hall.
Yep.
Making sure that actually when you turn on a switch, it actually works.
Yeah.
And then obviously how does it sound translating to the hall? And obviously with new desks and new system, there's always its own characteristics.
Yes,
Like we
yes,
found
yes.
out that the DM7 actually is, you can gain it up a lot more. It
Right,
really
right,
likes gain. And then we also change our outputs to AES versus analog left and right.
Okay.
So with that as well, we noticed that there was a mid scoop from the
Understand.
200 to about, well, two scoops actually, 200 to about 600K.
Okay.
And then anywhere between like 100 to 200K was dipped. And then our highs was just like buried. So basically, but we had a really nice low end. But that's all, like the whole thing was speaking to our contractor was like a digital and analog thing.
Understand.
So with analog, it's always more warmer, but you're very muddy. It's not as
Yep.
clear. But with digital, then you have a dip. It's clear, it's clean, but you have body, no oomph. That's what you call it. So yeah, like with that, so we had to like retune our
I
system,
remember.
and then when you retune, then how you mix things,
Yep.
it's not the same anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like a whole So I mean, I'm glad like I had like we have this guy called Steven around as well. So he
Thank God for Steven.
and been super helpful. So he and I was just we basically just sort of this is the list of things that we go through. We need to make sure we have to arrange for retuning. We're gonna arrange delivery for
And
rental
all this
and
stuff takes
so-
time. I think one
Mate.
thing is that you can just call a guy and say, "Yo, I wanna rent it now."
Yeah.
And it's not like your Grab delivery service. They're like, "Okay, 6 mics now." You know,
like
there's
boom, instantly.
It's not.
yeah.
I mean, okay, maybe it can come quite fast,
Yeah.
but it doesn't always. And like, there's a lot
No.
of back and forth. Cause
Yeah,
of
a
course,
lot.
these things all have to do with like money and
Money,
budget. You know,
yep.
because you're renting items.
Yep.
There's like certain approvals. So I
Yeah.
think
It's
like
actually
what a lot of people don't realize is that it's not so like
instant.
instant. It's not like just
Yeah.
I want it. I'm just gonna get it right now.
Exactly.
It's-
And so it's a lot of like, and then you go through like, then when you always look at maintenance, then you gotta make sure power works.
Yes.
Like
power is
mate,
the
power is so underrated. Like
power
clean
is
power,
clean power
and
is-
knowing that what if one fails, you have a backup.
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
with the DM7, we have like 2 power. So we run one power directly from the UPS, which is like a power distributor.
Yep.
And then we had to run another one through like the main 3-pin like you
Okay.
get. So at least when one fails, the desk can still function and switch to the next thing.
Understand.
But I think what is like super interesting as well is that as we were doing this method, we also found things that were breaking.
Okay.
Like our UPS, for instance, so UPS backup power supply, it's not working.
Oh,
So if we just found it out during conference, like, so
okay.
we need to fix that. And thankfully, nothing,
Yeah.
thankfully
Thankfully,
it
nothing
all worked.
happened.
And then we found out also our foyer speaker, one side wasn't working as well.
Okay.
And we just managed to fix it, and the reason was because the person who installed it was supposed to plug into channels A and C. He plugged into A and B.
Right.
So it's like, oh, mate.
Well,
One
going
job.
through
One job.
alphabetically order, A and B is not that wrong. A and C is
A bit wrong.
a bit more wrong, but but who
Yeah.
but
But yeah, so like a lot of like prep, and then
Yep.
a lot of those prep, which actually takes a lot of time. And actually, a lot of people don't see it. That actually makes a conference execute and make sure that the
Yes.
worship team experience
Yep.
is smooth. Because actually, I don't know about any church, but for HTBB, the worship team is literally just come in, you plug a cable,
Yep.
and you play, and they sort of expect it to have sound. And when it doesn't have sound, then that's where people sort of get
Yeah, no,
nervous and hey, what's going on?
I agree. Let's just say when it comes to the thing where everything's working,
Yeah,
there's not much comments.
Yep.
But okay, you know, it's working.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
when things are not working and it really just comes down to, I think conference is just a lot more prep, a lot more checking. It's like a lot more back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
Just making sure things run.
Yep.
And I think running stuff in digital,
Yep.
there is always this there's this slight chance that, you know what, it is like a syncing error.
Yes.
There's, I don't know, some word clocking thing.
Yep.
There's Dante error, all this.
Oh, mate.
You know, I'm not saying that.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, you know, there's the, like with analog, like if it's like a really straight up analog thing,
Yeah.
you plug it in, you pull up a fader, you turn up the physical gain knob, and there's sound.
You work.
You know, and I mean, it's not glamorous, but it'll work. You know,
Yeah.
I think one thing with the digital stuff, I think it's amazing that you can have your racks like somewhere else, your console somewhere else,
Yeah.
and you can use your iPad or your
Yep.
iPhone to
Yep.
run, you know, your own monitor mixes. I think that's
Yeah.
all amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always this thing with digital that's just.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always going to be a slight, you know, it's like
Yeah.
the cable that connects from your desk to your Rios
Yeah.
or your stage box. There's always just this thing, you know. It's just
Never know,
so.
man.
I mean, I think this is what a lot of people maybe don't see.
Yeah.
I'm sure all the audio people will understand.
Yep.
We
love you, audio people.
Yeah, we love you. You're heard. If you feel like you need a help hotline, Caleb will give you his number. Oh no, we give Steven's number.
Yeah, we give Steven's number. Yeah.
Steven. So for all you who don't know Steven, Steven's an amazing guy.
Yeah, Steven Tang.
He's an audio therapist. But I mean, these are the things that you just don't like. You won't think of
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
It's with anything digital, you know, there's sometimes bound to have some things.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, it's not perfect.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conference.
I know. Like, and obviously with conference, with all these maintenance things, there's also another thing that we need to juggle is people.
Oh, okay.
So obviously for church, we have like volunteer
A lot of
teams,
volunteers,
and
yes.
you know, it's a big, obviously it's a big conference. So obviously there's more people needed,
Yes,
more
yes.
support needed. Like how do you manage people's expectations, or how do you manage people in general, or
That
when
is-
running a conference?
That is a good question. Somebody can. I would love to know how to manage. I mean, at least for myself,
Yeah.
I think just communicating.
Yep.
Which is something I've kind of learned. Also
Yeah.
from-
How do you communicate? If you could like.
I think over
more specifics,
communicating works. Annoy people with information.
Yeah.
Which I feel is one of those things where, for example, if you're having an issue on the desk and
Yep.
you're trying to solve it,
Yeah.
if you wait too long before you tell, let's say for example, you're not getting in vocal mic.
Yep.
But if you wait too long before you tell the rest of the band
Yeah.
that you're having a problem,
Yeah.
they're just gonna. That's where a lot of like uneasiness comes in, and they're gonna be like, "Hey, what's this guy doing this?" You know this thing.
Yeah,
But if
yeah.
you quickly express it as quick as you can,
Yeah.
give them a time frame. Like, say,
Yeah.
"Hey, you know what? So and so is not working. We're checking on it,
Yeah.
and give us 5 minutes.
Mm.
Maybe y'all can instruct them to do something else first.
Yeah.
Don't kind of leave them in the dark.
Yeah.
I think that's where just a better,
Mm.
just over communicating.
Sure.
I think that really helps.
Sure.
And also just be as involved with every little thing. Instruct people. Tell people what they need to do, where they need to be at. I think a lot of times with doing like sound,
Yeah.
especially in a church environment,
Yeah.
people who do sound tend to want to be more behind and like don't see me.
Yeah.
I'm just this person turning up the sound.
Yeah.
But I think more than ever, a person who is which I we've seen so many great front of house engineers. They instruct people what to do, and it's not telling people what to do, but it's really more on like giving them a clear direction. So for example, you can't let singers decide which in-ear packs they're gonna take or whatever. You gotta assign it to them. Like, hey, you take pack 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4.
Yep.
Here's this wireless mic. You need to be on this. You need to be on that.
Yep.
You need to stand where. You need to plug into this.
Got you.
You know, and then I think this helps because a lot of times, for us, maybe it doesn't feel super overwhelming because we see all the tech all the time, like
Yep.
super, like we know all the cabling behind of it. We know every
Yep.
patch.
Yep.
We really it gives us that kind of confidence because we know how the back end looks like.
Yep.
But for a lot of times when the musicians go on stage and something doesn't work, not all of them are super tech savvy, so they tend to panic and they tend to think that something else does work or doesn't work, and then that's where you start running into a lot of like all this, this so and so and so and so, which it could just have been something simple. So I think a lot of time is just to communicate with them and say, hey, like just be on top of their thing. So for example, if it's a main stage setup, I would probably say, you as a sound engineer, you got to be familiar with their setup enough. If it's running tracks, you as a sound engineer or if you're leading team, you also need to be familiar with how tracks are run, where is it running to. You can't let them do it and tell you where it should go. You need to kind of like, you need to be on this so and so channels, and this is how it works, that's how it works. And I think just being on top of everything, which sounds very tiring. But I think that helps to keep everybody a bit more level-headed.
No, it's true. I think I really agree. Is like over communication sometimes just to put everybody at ease.
Just
put everyone in the same
I think you already
page.
say right. Put everybody at ease.
I think a technique that worked for me at HTBB, well, this is more from the sound team's point of view, is making sure that things are that people are like cared for.
Okay.
I feel like for me for this,
You have such a big heart. People are cared for.
No, but I think it's so for me, like this is the probably first conference where I purposefully like chose not to have not to do anything, quote unquote. Like I think meaning either play drums or do front of house or like the main thing. And I think it was a very intentional thing because like I think it's always when conference there's always this pressure is always very high, stress is always very high, intensity, everyone's stressed, everyone feels the heat that to deliver. Oftentimes what sort of gets in what's at the expense of is normally like kindness, care, support, and stuff like that. And it's not saying that they're terrible people. It's just at that time, when you're stressed, you just want something quick and fast, right? So I think for me, for this conference, is making sure to sort of like for at least the sound team, because sound team sometimes things don't work and then things stressful, and then that's why you say like sound guy always gets a lot of comments and a lot of like, hey man, hey man, we're supposed to start now and things like that. So I think for me was this one is making sure that all the FOH people or all the people that was serving or was mixing felt cared for. Like for instance, like this year I tried was asking the sound guy, the person who is doing FOH, to turn up 15 minutes a bit later, whereas I would come in 15 minutes before to just turn everything on. Making sure that when the guy comes in, that's really everything is on. Like there's no worry of like, mate, that thing is not on, this thing is on. Like the sub is not on, this kind of thing. And actually those small little things helps like in terms of making sure all the worship team has all their packs that they need with their batteries. So the FOH sole job is just to run sound check and mix, and that's pretty much. And making sure also because you're on the board, then a lot of the times is that you don't get to eat, you don't get your coffee, you don't get all this thing. And so I was like basically serving coffee to the team. And it's not like some people might say it's like, it's like, a waste of time, but actually like that can go a long way to making your team feel supported. So like never underestimate those small things that that will help during the conference. Like if it's really early.
I think what you're right is just making sure your team feels supported. Because in the end, I mean, let's say for example for both of us, we are in the thick of things all the time. But for a lot of them, they're not doing this so often. Maybe some of them they do have the experience.
Exactly.
But I think the intensity for us is like we already more used to it. And but for them it's like this is very like high level stress.
I know, right?
You know what I mean? For them, this is very like what's next? So I think putting them at ease, making sure they are taken care of, which is it's a very people thing. Which I think a lot of times a lot of people don't realize. That
Sorry, the mic keeps dropping, Fit Johnston.
Because I keep touching it as a from. It's my fault. I need to adjust this, but it's really a making sure people are cared for and like checking in on them, and like I said, because we work with a lot of volunteers.
And it's normally their work day.
Yeah.
So some of them actually most of them actually took leave
Yep.
to serve.
Yep. Yep.
And I think that's really important to just bear in mind that it doesn't seem like work. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they also come and they also want to kind of express themselves
Yeah.
and they also be a little bit more, like, they kind of want to have fun with it
Yeah,
also as well.
exactly. Yeah.
And I think if you can kind of take out that equation of like, oh, this is not going to work or that's not going to work,
Yep.
or the super technical aspect of it,
Yep.
then I think that allows them to be a little bit more relaxed
Yes.
as a volunteer lah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And yeah, so I think that's just what I've been really focusing on.
Okay.
And I think for me, where it is almost like right now is that so conference season for me is finished.
Yeah.
In the sense that like conference finished. And
Yeah.
I think what a lot of people would think is that, oh, like this whole like 5 months of intense work is almost like gone in 3 days.
Yeah.
And then that can be quite low.
Yeah.
For some people, it's like, oh wow, I put in so much effort and everything is like all the months and hours of time, and not just gone within like
within a few days. And
yeah.
I don't, so what is your post? What are you feeling?
I think for me is I recently saw this quote from Roger Federer. I don't know if you play tennis. But he was doing
Yes, I do know Roger Federer.
Hey.
Okay.
Yeah. And I thought what he said was quite good in terms of when he gave advice to like I don't remember it was basically like a graduation and he was giving like the speech or something. And it was just basically sharing about his like life through tennis and what he learned and stuff. And I thought what he said was quite interesting. And he said was when you are approaching, okay, I could be quoting it wrong, but I hope to get the idea right. But it's basically like, when you're approaching a point, that is the most important thing that you have to focus on, like, i.e. the point, like how to win the point and how you construct the point and how you play the point. And chances are you can win the point or you can lose the point. But when the point is finished, depending on how the outcome comes, you have to move on to the next thing.
Right.
Like, you can learn from it, but you have to look onto the next thing and prepare for the next point. And it's the same. It's almost like you give yourself the best, you do the best, and after that, when it's finished, it's finished. You got to move on. So I think same thing with conference as well. As like, we prep 5-6 months, many hours, many like intense discussion and things like that. And it could just seem like it all goes away shorter time than actually all the prep. And I think for some people that might feel like, hey, actually, was everything that I did worth it? Like, is it even like needed or whatever? But actually, it's like, it's you learn and then you move on. You move on to the next thing and you move on to the next event. You move on to the, going back to Sunday and you move on and you learn those, you learn whatever that you need to learn from conference and you take that and you just move on. So I think that's what I found has been quite helpful in the sense of not being so high on like, oh, conference, like, oh, I put everything in, which you still need to, but that's not to say that we put in different efforts from a Sunday service versus a conference. So I think that's been like, I think that's quite helpful knowing that, okay, conference done, cool. Everything was great. We've learned this. We need to improve this. And it's cool. And we just move on to the next thing. And we don't get at least for me, I don't get like, oh man, like, mate, I've done so much, and then conference just like gone,
just
like what the heck, man? It's like poop, finish.
Yeah.
So I thought that was quite helpful, and also to help my mental space in the sense of like, I don't over prioritize conference to a Sunday, and I don't deprioritize Sunday to a conference.
Okay, right.
So I think that helped with post conference recovery.
Right. Post conference recovery.
Yeah, because like sometimes conference can be like a high.
Yeah.
It's like, you feel like you're really doing something and you can see people's reactions and things like that. And it feels like, oh, this is like, what I'm made to do. And you always get the instant feedback. But when conference is finished, it's like, oh no, like no one cares about what I do. What I'm doing is doesn't make, it's not making an impact. But it's not the case, So and the conference is a very abnormal time. To the calendar. So
but I guess like kind of going back to the preparation, whatever you do like during a conference is also because of all the time you've taken the prep.
Yep.
So it's also months of Like that means like all the daily stuff,
Yeah.
all the Sundays, all those kind of things. It's a lead up towards that because I feel like a lot of times you can't necessarily do something
Yep.
you've never done before.
No.
You know what I mean? So it's like you have to run it a certain way, or you have to do certain things, or you can do certain things only because you've done it before.
Yes.
You know, rarely you'll try to pull out a stunt that you've never,
Yep.
at least in audio lah.
Yep.
You really try to pull a stunt you've never pulled before,
Yep.
just because it's just because of it's a conference.
Yeah.
And I think just at least having that in mind,
Yeah.
then you don't have such a big,
Yeah.
so it's just like
Yeah.
a big dip
Yeah.
inside there. So probably, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess at least maybe I feel for you that
Yeah.
you probably don't have such a big dip because
Yeah.
those are the things already you've been doing
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
on every Sunday.
Yeah. Exactly.
Just added a little bit more stuff
Yeah.
than what you usually have.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think that that's really good.
Yeah.
Really good takeaway is really just to
Yeah.
ease people in and
Yeah.
make them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Then I think that will kind of like the rest of the tech stuff will kind of take care by itself.
Yeah.
I mean, tech stuff is just always tech stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Tech stuff has no feelings.
No.
Yeah, tech stuff has no feelings.
Well, some might say they do have feelings.
Yeah.
If you don't
Oh,
treat
yeah,
them
true
nicely, they just don't work.
Yeah, you know, it's just you must make sure that you gotta just turn them on the right way.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you turn on in the correct sequence.
Yeah.
you know.
It's always a
Gotta make
sequence.
sure that you gotta turn on the system, let it warm up a bit. You can't just
Yeah.
like go full on,
No.
whack like 120 dBs. Just flip on
Yeah,
the system
man.
for 5 minutes and just like let the system ease in a little bit. You can let the
Yeah.
air conditioning cool down the place a little bit. But people stuff lah.
Yeah.
People
it's-
stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, conference. So I really hope that your conference goes well next
Yeah,
next
we
week.
have another podcast. I'll update you guys on how well or how not. But like I said, like it just all the stuff that we've already been regularly doing,
Yeah.
and just like added. Most of the time, I just realized just a lot added gear,
Agreed.
which is fine. You know,
Yeah.
I think adding equipment is not a huge thing.
No.
But it also gives you kind of a perspective also as well to not just like make like conference just like this blown up thing that your church does once in a while.
I know.
I think it gives you a pretty good gauge also of how you can incorporate certain elements.
Yes.
Into this, like I think because sometimes because of conferences or we do these kind of things, they have very niche type of requests.
Yes.
So for example, like we are doing like a staging where the main band will be on the main stage, and
Yep.
then like some of the worship leaders and whatnot will be on like an island stage.
Yep.
And then we also do like another segmenting on like this island stage.
Yep.
But I guess also it's like because I've already prepped certain lines or certain certain inputs and outputs to be movable and whatnot,
Yeah.
then that's sort of helped me. But that's because I learned that from like a previous conference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I did it because of another need that happened another time. So
Yeah.
I can just constantly, kind of just like apply it. So I think with everything, it's just added up whether you talk about conferences or non-conferences. So, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. I think it should be fine.
Yeah. I think the thing is like eventually you have all this stress, right?
Yeah.
Eventually it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Everything just goes well.
Yeah,
so
most
it's all
of the
good.
time, it's
Don't
fine.
stress. Don't
Yeah,
stress.
don't stress out.
Yeah, don't stress. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good we're gonna wrap up our conversation there.
Yep.
But just before we go, we just want to share what are the things that we are enjoying at the moment. I think it's quite important as well as creatives. We're always like stimulated and knowing, and always good to like look for new things and new things to get us inspired in our craft. So yeah, what have you been listening to, or like what have you been?
What have I been listening
Yeah,
to?
or like could be listened to, could be something that you ate, or just something that inspired you across the week.
I would personally say like just I've been listening to a lot of Paramore
Nice.
recently.
Okay.
Just recently, and I think like I'm beginning to really appreciate like the less is more kind of thing.
Okay.
Maybe we're very used to like throwing stuff at stuff, but
Yeah.
like listening to the album, I was like, oh, you know what? You can tell they're doing a few things, but they're not overdoing it.
Yeah.
And it's actually very hard not to like overdo something because you
Yeah.
just feel like, oh, like I need to do. But just
Yep.
kind of listen to the album, you're like, oh, you know what, this production is like, it's not super complicated,
Sure.
but it's done very well.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So just
Like what song are you listening to? from Paramore that-
This is why.
Oh, this is why.
Better not say after you this again. Yeah, but that's a really, really, I mean, it's not a new album.
Okay.
per se.
Yeah.
But I just think that the way, and then all the other songs inside that particular album also they're very different. Okay, I love hearing drum tones.
Sure.
So there's like a very different snare tone on each song,
Yeah.
which is quite nice.
Sure.
Like they're just not there's not just that one thing that's happening throughout the whole album. It's
Yeah.
like a mixture
Got you.
of all different sounds and different stuff. And I think even like I think we had probably had this conversation some time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, even what we do in the church world,
Yeah.
I think if we can just incorporate a lot what we listen to our other influence outside,
Yeah.
not just seeing what just goes on in the church world,
Yep.
but what goes on like outside of the church world.
Yeah.
I think that will give us quite a new okay. Recently, what I discovered that was quite interesting. So last a couple of weeks ago, we did this we were doing the Sydney Mohidi event
Okay.
at the hall. There's a backline company that
Yep.
did everything, and one thing I thought that was really interesting was that because we already have like these sub snakes
Okay.
on stage, and the sub snake was a little bit far from the drums. So instead of pulling the entire sub snake nearer to the drum kit, what they did was they actually brought another smallest, like a fantail, by 8x8
Yeah.
like snake,
Yeah.
and they actually put that thing nearer towards the drum kit, and
Right.
they just patch everything closer towards that, and then
Ah.
upload that they just patch it into that.
Right.
So it's like I wouldn't have thought about it,
Yep.
but then just kind of sometimes just seeing how other people do things, which kind of made me which which kind of made me think, that hey, because our stage layout changes a lot.
Yeah.
I was like, that will actually be really really helpful.
Yeah.
Because if I can, let's say for example, put like a drum on a platform, and I can kind of do this whole subsync thing, so I can just like move things in and out kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
like, but like just seeing what other people
Yeah.
in like other people are doing, not just in churches,
Yeah.
or what they are doing. There's a lot of things that we can like learn.
Yeah.
This is a lot like little. I'm pretty sure seeing sometimes going through all your different suppliers and going
Yeah.
through all your different
Yeah.
how you say technicians that come through. Sometimes we do like certain things. You'll be like, oh, I never thought about that.
Mm.
But because like some people like them, they do it in such a frequent rate, and they're
Yeah.
always like troubleshooting, or they're trying to find what works the best or what works easiest for like load in, load out.
Yeah.
So I think like just those little things.
Interesting.
Yep.
I think the thing that's been inspiring me is I've been recently getting to two artists.
Okay.
Charlie XCX.
Oh, Charlie Asiak.
She just released the new album called Brat.
Brat.
Yeah, Brat. And actually really, really good.
Oh yeah.
I really enjoy it. It's like a very London club vibe dance thing with a bit of actually quite heavily garage and industrial influence. It's really cool. I mean, I think it's quite nice seeing the production and the sounds and stuff. And actually, surprisingly, I've been listening to a lot of Metallica.
No, yeah. You've been telling me this.
Yeah, Metallica. I don't know. I just thought that like they're just so cool.
You just
They're just so
you're going
cool.
through a
Like,
Metallica
yeah,
era
Metallica
now.
face. Like I think James Hetfield. Hetfield. I think he's just
We're
so.
new to Metallica.
Sorry, man. Yeah, but he's just so cool, man. I think he's so cool. He plays guitar. He has this like look about him.
Yeah,
this vibes.
yeah.
It's cool. And they're all like four old guys, but they're still like
old guys.
they're quite old, I think.
True.
But then they're like still playing like heavy metal and still really like
Rocking out.
yeah, still like Metallica vibe. So yeah, I think that's inspired me a lot in terms of like just listening to music. I don't know how they'll relate to whatever that we're creating or like our creator, but it's always just good to just like something.
Yeah.
So I think so that's just me.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, man.
Metallica
But I think
Charlie.
I think that's like pretty cool. Like I think we're speaking for an hour.
Yeah, I think we've actually spoken
yeah.
for an hour.
Yeah.
It's
So
a lot longer than we expected.
I know, yeah, but I think the whole point of this is like we're just trying to see.
Yeah.
We want to keep it consistent.
Yes.
So you heard it first here. We're trying to keep it consistent, but not like a weekly thing.
Yeah.
We're gonna try starting to do like monthly.
Monthly, yeah.
And we just kind of talk about audio.
Better
and
listen. Taking us a long time to record this.
I know, yeah. So I think it'll be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all those
Yeah.
things. And I think so I have a paid Patreon. So if you subscribe to my Patreon, on the Made with Choo tier,
Yes.
Made with Choo, you get like early access and some of the transcriptions and links and that we talk about. So
Right.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
So
nice,
if you're not
nice.
subscribed, do subscribe
Yeah,
to
subscribe.
me on Patreon, or you can. There's free stuff there. There's also paid stuff there. It's a great place to be.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, Johnston.
No problem. Thank
See
you.
you later.
Thank you, Chu.
See you, man.